So today I am ever so lucky because, as if by magic, I have revived one of the most iconic UK players, certainly one of my favourite players in the 40 years of playing this magnificent game of pétanque. And I'd like to introduce past players and new players to the wonderful lady that is Vanessa. So, Vanessa, welcome to Pétanque Coach Interviews.
Thank you. Remember, my name is Ness to my friends. Okay, Kev.
Well, Nessie or
Yeah,
Ness or Vanessa, we will,
yeah.
we'll use all sorts of different names for you today. But Ness, I think, is what you're definitely the Ness or Nessie known as. And look, you've been there, you've done everything in the game. You worked and you lived in the UK for many, many years, and now you live in France.
We do indeed. Yes, we have. We as soon as I got Chris to down tools and say to him, look, we need to think about our retirement now. I mean, pétanque is the national sport in France. We know that. We have loved pétanque. It's been our life. So, what better way to sell up in England, sell our house, and move to France?
I am so envious.
But there are three reasons why we came to France, Kev. The first being pétanque, the second being the fromage, the cheese, and the third being the vin rouge, the red wine. So perfect scenario.
I can't think of any better reasons to
No.
move to France. Certainly the lifestyle, the friendships that you can make, the competitions, because you're around the Loire area. So as I have pictures of wine behind me.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that correct? Near Loire, so lots of
Oh,
white
I'm actually in the
wines. Limousin.
Limousin region, in the
Okay,
Haute-Vienne department. Yes,
right.
yeah.
Okay,
It's
and
about central in France. From Paris, you drive about 5 hours straight down. We're in the Haute-Vienne department. So I
fantastic.
think from Calais, you'd probably do it in about 14 hours in a car, probably a little bit less.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah,
that's amazing. And
yeah,
it's a big department, I believe, in terms of pétanque,
yes.
but where you're living in the little village, not so many people, but certainly
Um,
very
you'll be
engaged people.
surprised when we actually started looking for a house in France. We found this ideal house, but en route to looking at houses, we found these two old boys playing pétanque outside what we now know is their bouladrome, our bouladrome, because we are members of that club now. And I said, because oh look, they're playing pétanque over there. I wonder if we could take them on for some money. Wow, that was the last thing we could have said, because these two old boys, one bless him, who our dear friend is known as John Claude, he's got a hunchback, dear old boy. We asked if we could come along and play pétanque. Yep, starts at 2 o'clock. Okay, we turned up the next day thinking we'd play these old boys for a couple of quid. Do you know what, Kev? Every ball he hit, he carried. Every ball he pointed within 6 inches. And we're talking about 60, 70-year-old men. Absolutely incredible, really incredible. Fell in love with them. They fell in love with us. Within a year of moving here, I suppose, we are now members of the club. We belong to the league. We play in the league with them. Absolute fabulous. But we had this impression that these two old boys don't really know what they're doing. But by God, did they give us a shock? They knew exactly what they were doing. Awesome. Awesome.
So you didn't take too many francs off them then.
No, I think had we played for money, we'd have come home skint. I think, Kev. Absolutely incredible. Yeah.
So obviously you're living in France now. You've lived in the UK. You've been playing, well, I've been playing 40 years. You
Yeah.
playing longer than me, I believe. Um, how did it all start? Where did this love for the game come from?
Well, as you know, I'm with Chris. He absolutely plays pétanque. Absolutely adores the game. I used to go along and watch him stand under an umbrella when it was pouring down with rain and think, do you know what? What am I doing here? They're playing marbles. What am I doing? Didn't take any interest at all. Of course, tagging behind Chris, going to ball matches. One day they were playing a league match and a person didn't turn up. So someone gave me a set of balls and said, Ness, we could do with you just filling in. And from that moment on, I just got hooked. I think it was a natural progression for me because at school I threw the javelin, the discus, the shot put. So I think given a set of ball, throwing just as a natural thing for me. So really, from the day one of playing, taking someone's place in a league match, well, that was it. Then I was away. So got to understand the game. Started as a pointer, mind you. I started pointing for the late Dave Yates, bless him, and his son. I played with them for quite a few years. And then, of course, like everybody wants to aspire to hit ball. So that's then eye hand coordination. And I thought, you know what, I can do this. I'm sure I can do this. And it just came from then on, really. Became a shooter. Yeah.
Well, what a formidable shooter and player you are, because I doubt very much your game has gone down. It's probably gone through the
Um,
roof.
it's not as good as it was, Kev, to be honest. I've got other commitments now. I'm living here. I've got dogs. I've got chickens. I live the French life, but I can pick and choose my pétanque. But the pétanque level here in France, even in our department, is far superior than what it is in England. Far superior. You play for money, which is great.
Yep.
You know, you go along, you can win a few quid, which pays for the day, which is all I want to do really. But we can pick and choose our competitions. But the level of the sport here is out, gone through the roof really compared to England. They're playing in these high quality games week in, week out. I mean, us poor souls, when we qualify for something great, we then go, but we've not had the experience or the knowledge what to expect. But these players are playing at high level all the time. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
That's male, female, junior,
Yeah. Yeah.
veterans, everything.
Exactly that. Yeah. Different kettle of fish altogether, Kev. It really is an
How
eye
was
opener for us.
how was your transition then from the English game to the French game? Because you've been abroad plenty of times, played in North Seas, played in World Championships, played in all manner of different tournaments. As we know, you've been, I believe, Liège as well, and various others. But it's very different visiting to living and playing. What's the biggest difference for you?
The difference for me really is the camaraderie with the French club that we've now joined. Absolutely fantastic. But they've accepted Chris and I with open arms. They can see that we understand the game. And we've had people drop into the club. Oh, is this a game of pétanque? Can we have a go? And they're from the local campsite. They're not interested in that. They know that we understand the game. They know that we can play ball, and we've just slotted in really nicely. And as I say, we can go. The best thing for us, because we've got an indoor boulodrome, we can actually play one year in particular in February at 2 o'clock is when our practice starts. We go to the boulodrome, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It was actually hammering down with snow, and we're inside playing pétanque. And I'm saying to Chris, we could be on our hands and knees laying the floor now, but do you know what? We're not. So in the winter months, we've got our indoor boulodrome, and it's just fantastic for us. It's just friendship, really, more than anything. We have so much fun, and they really have welcomed us with open arms because we know the game.
That's beautiful to hear.
Yeah, it's nice, relaxing game. You know, as I say, parents come with their kids. We've even had little kids play. We have lots of melees within the club, which is great because people might think, oh, she's done this, she's done that, she's above herself. It's not like that at all, Kevin. We're quite relaxed about it. I've played with 5-year-olds, little old men who have been better than me, and
I know
it's just great. A total relaxation game. It's lovely. Apart
it's,
from away from the competition, that is. When you're playing competition, then it's a different kettle of fish. Yeah.
of course, then
Yeah.
the serious chapeau
That's
comes
it.
on.
That's it, Kev. Yeah.
So you must have played in some remarkable tournaments in France. I don't know how long ago, but I remember you won Blangy, which is
Yeah, I
one of
did.
the
Yeah.
biggest in
That was
France.
such yes, once such a long time. I actually played with the Dutch lady. Oh God, my memory's failing me now, Kev. I went along because Chris was playing in Blangy, and I wasn't intending to play ball, but the Dutch lady came up to me, Ness, do you want to play the doubles? And I said, well, I haven't practiced for quite some time. If you want to put up with me, let's go and play. And we did, and we won that. That was just something. I then thought to myself, do you know what? I really have got to try my hardest. This young girl's asked me to play, but I really should think about what I'm doing. And it just came together on the day, which was great. But no, having not played for a couple of years and then being asked to play, you've got to sort of impress somebody. You've got to put your, as you say, the hat on to think I need to play well here. And I think it's like riding a bike, Kev. It's natural, isn't it? I mean, if you can play ball, you know what you're doing. It's just all right. I'm not as consistent as I used to be. Nowhere far as consistent as I used to be, obviously, but I still know what I'm doing, Kev. Yeah,
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 it's.
yeah,
I've been having some interesting conversations with players that you'll know, Simon Bird, Barry
yeah.
Scott, and there's a different regard for the game nowadays amongst the young players and certain players and certain commentators in the game that us old
School.
school that we didn't shoot as much, we didn't have the game, and it's these people were never there.
No.
What's your impression of that? Because you've been there and done it.
What, here in France or in England,
No,
Kevin?
in the UK, I'm talking about the what myself and Simon and Barry we class as the golden age of pétanque in the UK when it
Yeah.
was the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and a lot of the people now don't know about what a great game it was. And obviously, so many players, so many great tournaments, the Pied d'Ors, the
Yeah.
Pernod tournaments, and enlighten people as to how tough it was.
I mean, it was tough. I personally preferred to play with the men, personally, because I found it was tactically a lot different to playing with the women. I mean, I did play with the women, of course I did, but my game for me, my strength was playing with the men. I don't know why. Maybe it was more aggressive, maybe because um, the thing is, I mean, Chris always used to say to me, actually, Kate, he said, Ness, you haven't got a clue what the score is. You haven't got a clue what you're shooting for. And do you know what, Kev? I didn't. I mean, Chris tells me this, I can go to an end and say, shoot this ball. I haven't got a clue if I'm shooting for one or for three. All I knew was I had to hit that ball. And that was my job. I mean, that was all I had to think about is I've just got to hit that ball. And he's so right. Even today, I say to my mates now, what's the score? And they look at me as if I'm stupid, but I really have got no idea because uh, other people are more focused into it. But I just look at it as if I can just do my job, then my job's done.
You know,
More tech, yeah,
it's a beautiful situation to have that mindset where you can just say it doesn't matter because
no,
then you're not affected by the outcome.
no. I mean, only this week, Chris said to me, actually, we played in a little local competition. And he said to me, do you know what, Ness, what really cheeses me off with you is you don't really care. I said, Chris, I do care, but my mannerisms on the pitch, if you looked from a distance, Kevin, you would not know if I'm winning or losing. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. All I'm doing is having fun and just focusing on hitting that ball. Whether we lose or win, one thing I will say to the younger generation, my late father taught me this. He told me this scenario, this sentence, and it's always stuck with me. Be gracious in defeat as you are in glory. And I'm a great believer of that. Okay, when you win a major competition, you want to slap hands, you want to do the high five, great. But at the end of the day, think about them poor people you've just beaten, they've lost, you know. And I see it so often. I can look across a ballodrome, a competition, and I can tell who's winning and who's losing. But with me, and that really does irritate Chris, to be fair. He says, you don't really care. So I do care, but that's just the way I am. You know,
You've
I enjoy
always
it, Kev.
you've always been about enjoyment and
Yeah.
I remember you and I and Mike Pegg played in Shedfield, if you remember.
No, I don't. No, I don't, Kev.
Well, there we go. I
Oh
remember it
my God.
because
Yeah.
Mike was not at the height of umpiring
Right.
at the time, and Shedfield, notoriously
Yeah.
interesting place to play back when they used to play there. And you and I just had great fun,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we laughed and we joked, and the outcome just didn't matter as long
No.
as we had fun.
Exactly, that's what it's all about. I think unless you're playing for the world championship spot, then it's obviously a different story. But at the end of the day, life's too short, mate. You know, it's not life and death, is it? It's just to have fun, enjoy yourself, and appreciate the sport as it is. You know,
Well, you've
yeah,
obviously been a veteran, shall we say, of
yeah,
multiple world championships in, I believe, in female and mixed when they didn't have the segregation that they have now.
exactly, yeah. Can I just tell you a story, Kevin? I wanted to just bring this up. When I played in Montpellier, it's just a little story that I tell everybody. In Montpellier in 1997, I played with Chris and Bradshaw in the World Championships. As you say, when the women were able to play with the men, I think I was there was two females in that tournament. There was a lady, I believe, either Australian or New Zealand. She was playing with her two male partners. But anyway, we played in this World Championship, and this is what rose me to stardom, I believe. We were playing against Austria, and I was shooting very well, actually. Anyway, my right foot decided to go across the circle, and this Austrian guy called the R beat. Now, if you can imagine, we're playing indoors, 6,000 people, 7,000 people indoors, and he called the R beat. The R beat came over and done his little bit. You know, you shouldn't have your foot out the circle. And I said, well, it's not my feet, actually, it's my shoes. But anyway, that's another story. But anyway, no, we joked. Okay, sir, sorry about that. You know, he obviously tried to put me off my game. Well, when the Austrian bloke went to play his ball, the auditorium, the people in that stadium absolutely booed and hissed and up in arms. They were going crazy because he picked me up. Now, I can remember Radnick was playing with Michel Leroy alongside us. This Australian bloke put his ball on the Kosh, and I won't use the explicits that Bradshaw used, but he more or less came up to me and said, Ness, you really need to hit this ball, darling. And I'm thinking, oh my God. Well, Radnick and Michel Leroy stood alongside, turned, looked at our game, and I thought, I really need to hit this because I'm going to look damn bloody stupid if I don't. My knees were banging together, Kev, but thankfully I had a straight arm. I pulled out a semi-carrow on this ball. The whole place erupted with cheers. And this guy, this is God's honest truth, he cleared the barrier. He ran on the pitch, thrust a load of money in my hand. They were taking bets as to whether I'd hit this ball. The next day, I was in the Midi Libre newspaper.
Wow.
Whole page, and you've got Michel Leroy and Radnick right in the bottom left-hand corner of this paper, and you've got all about me. And that, I swear, got me the fame that, you know, that where I am today. But I will always treasure that moment. Thanks to that Austrian bloke for picking up my foot.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Do you know, it's in the arena in
Yeah,
the Colosseum of battle when
that's right.
you have to dig deep,
Do something. Yeah, yeah.
and you did it. And do you know,
I wish
I
I could relive
remember
that moment, Kev. It's brilliant. Yeah.
I remember in a big tournament playing against you, and I was playing with Dave Ciano and Lynn Ciano. I don't
All
know.
right.
And it was I was shooting, you were
Right.
shooting, you were playing with Braddy and Chris,
Okay.
and we were ahead.
Right.
And I distinctly remember Braddy saying to you, "You need to hit this
Yeah.
damn ball
Yeah.
because that little sod,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's not missing." And it became a shootout between
Right.
you and me,
Okay. Okay.
and it was an epic game. You eventually beat us, I think, to like 11 or 12, and you went on to win the tournament. I think this was
Okay.
semi-final,
Okay.
and it was great because Chris took me aside afterwards and he said, and Brady as well. This was back in the day when they didn't tell you
Yeah.
tactics and probably
Yeah.
still don't.
No.
And he said we were beating everyone because our sole objective was to fanny everyone as quickly as possible because it
Really?
put us under pressure.
Right.
And you were one of the only ones that we didn't do that. And they were like, you little sod.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow.
But it was a great game. I remember that so well. And look, you've had so many great games. I recall one particular game that I was watching. Yeah, I think it was at Kenilworth
All right. Yeah.
when there was
Coventry. Yeah.
A Kosh Shot for World Championship. Do you
Oh,
recall?
and Bradshaw was on the line. One in the Kosh came in. I can
Tell us,
kill them,
tell us
Kev.
about that. Tell us about
Oh
that.
my God, we were playing against, I think it's Barry and Matt, weren't we? And
Yeah,
Bruno.
yeah.
Yeah, that was for the World Championships. Yeah. And Bradshaw, bless him, I can picture now. He went off to the right to me and he said, all we've got to do is get this Kosh off the pitch and so I'm going to the World Championships. Well, I hit this Kosh, but it hit Bradshaw and it came in. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret now. I shook their hands Be gracious in defeat as you are in glory. I didn't scream, shout, holler. I mean, I did it Bradshaw at the time, but I went back to my van and I cried. Oh, did I cry, Kev? Because it meant so much to me. I give it my all. Bless Matt Horrigan. He came over to me, put his arm. We were in the camper van. Came over, put his arm around me and said, "I'm so sorry, Ness." I said, "It's not your fault, Matt." And I sobbed and I sobbed and I sobbed. I could have killed Phil. Killed him. Just anywhere on the pitch, but there.
I think if I recall, there was you'd almost told him this is it's a very long time ago, but someone
Yeah, I
said, get
remember.
off the
Yeah,
pitch, Phil, and he went, "Nah, there's no point." And
that's
then
it. And he was
Kosh
like, he's like a
bounced
foot
off his
inside.
chest.
That's right, Kev. Yeah, you got good. I do remember that because that cost us the World Championships. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I
awful.
felt for you so much that day because
That's the only time, the one and only time I've ever cried at losing at pétanque because that meant so much to me. And I'd done my job and it was just sheer bad luck. Sheer bad luck. Could have gone anywhere. Another inch past and we'd have done it, you know.
had Brady been off the pitch, you were
Exactly.
going.
Different story. Never mind. Never
Well, it
mind.
brings me on to an interesting question for you. Obviously, you played with Phil. You're married to Chris. You played with Chris
Yeah.
for forever.
Yeah.
You've played with me and various other people. And what what makes a good teammate for you, and why?
I could use coming here to France. I play with a young lady here, not particularly a good player, a great player. But do you know what, Kev? I get on fabulously with her. We have a laugh and a joke, and we do our best. And that to me makes a good team player. I can remember one year dropping. No, I didn't drop Chris. I think it was a joint decision. We didn't make the World Championships playing with Bradshaw one particular year. And Chris said to me, "Well, if you want to go off and play with Lee Jameson, the late Lee Jameson, then crack on, Ness. You and Phil go and play with him." We went off and played with Lee Jameson. I think that year too, because Chris sort of turned around and said, "That a teacher." He qualified for the North Sea, but we didn't. So you've got, in my opinion, then probably three good players, but we didn't gel as well. So for me to be part of a team, first you've got to get on with the people you're playing with. You've got to love the people you're playing with, and just have some fun. So that to me is, you can put top best players in the world together, but they don't get on, Kev, they're not going to win. It's as simple
We've
as that.
seen that so many times
Yeah, yeah,
over the years. Some of the
yeah,
best English players, British players,
yeah,
with some of the foreign players who've become anglicized,
yeah.
and they just don't gel.
That's it. That's it. And you just don't get on. No, that's
Yeah,
it. No, I
yeah,
agree with that. You've got to actually love your players you're playing with, which I did do for all my pétanque career. I played with Lisa and Diz, you know, I adored
yeah.
playing with them, Bradshaw and Chris, you know. So yeah, yeah.
So take me back to sort of skipped around a bit there. 7,000 people watching. You
God, yeah.
have all the pressure, and you've been in pressure situations. We talked about that cautionary. How do you deal with that pressure? What mental strength and where does it
Um,
come from?
I've always been competitive throughout my life in any sport I've done. I've always been competitive. I've always want to be at the top of my game, no matter what sport I do. I've got to give 110%, which I always do. If I'm not good enough, I don't really want to know. So I have to keep pushing myself, pushing myself. But me, it's adrenaline. If I haven't got the adrenaline, Kev, I can't play pétanque. Only last week, I can use this as an example. Chris and I were playing in the doubles. We won our first two games, we're winning a little bit of pocket money. Great. We then had to play two young girls, probably about 8 and 9. I said, "Chris, I can't play." He said, "What do you mean you can't play?" I said, "I can't be dealing with this." He said, "You're joking." I said, "Chris, I haven't got the mental ability to play against these children." I said, "This isn't a game I want to play. I would much rather play somebody at high level and have a good game and give them a good game than play two little toddlers." Can't cope with it, Kev.
Yeah.
Can't. I crumbled, absolutely crumbled. And I was actually, Chris, going to shoot this sport. And for the first time in my life, I'm going, "I can't shoot." He's going, "What do you mean you can't shoot?" I said, "Chris, I can't." I don't know how to. No, I can't deal with that. I have to have my head on, adrenaline pumping. and just want to win. But when you're playing toddlers, you can't want to win, you know. So it's hard. It's hard for me.
But there's a very fine line, and this is something I've talked about, is that adrenaline and excitement in
Yeah,
the body is exactly the same reaction
same.
as
Yeah,
anxiety. Some
probably.
people
Yeah,
see it as anxiety and others see it as excitement. But how do
yeah.
you deal with that? Because it's coursing through and it makes my hands prickly.
Right. Okay.
How do you
Um,
deal with it? And to turn it into a superpower that obviously you have.
um, I think sometimes, when I'm actually shooting, you know, in a high level game, when I go into, somebody actually did say to me, this is very true, in my early days, when I was very good in my early days, someone actually approached me and said, Vanessa, why don't you carry two ball to the circle? And my instant reaction was, then you could think I'm being a bit of a snob here. I turned around and said, because I know I'm going to hit it. And that's how I deal with it, because I get that ball and I know I'm going to hit that, because that's my mentality, Kev. I know that I'm going to hit that ball and I need to hit that ball. So for me, it's motivation, determination, I guess. Um, okay, excitement, adrenaline does. I mean, I've been a bit excitable sometimes where I've played a game and I've run to the circle thinking I've only got a witness and we've won, and excitement's taken over and I haven't concentrated so much and I've missed the ball. And I thought, why did I do that? I should have slowed myself down and thought about the process, but I didn't, because excitement took over. Um, but no, for me, I just love adrenaline, Kev. I'm adrenaline junkie. End of.
Well, certainly you've the challenges that you've taken on in France in buying
Yeah,
and renovating properties, that for a lot of people is a big adrenaline thing and a big risk as well, but you've
sure.
embraced it and had no problems with it. So, but it's great.
It's worked well for us. I just wish I could have got Chris off his tools a bit sooner, because we'd have been here probably about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But we've been living here now since 22, and yeah, it's just fabulous. As I say, we pick and choose our competitions that we go to, and we just have a great time in the camping car. We can stay overnight, have a few beers, drive home the next day. Happy days.
I
Yeah,
remember when you first rocked up in your very exotic camper van at
camping
the
car.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
And you said, we're going to France a lot. And we were,
yeah,
all of us youngsters, we were like, yeah,
yeah,
we want to do that.
yeah, yeah. No, if you can, I mean, it's great, great life. We
So
love it.
I'm interested in your training regime for helping other people who will be watching. What does it look like back in the day, and how does it differ now?
Back in the day, when we were competing for the North Sea, the World Champions, etc., we had a golden rule, Chris and I. The 1st of January, we would go out every night for at least 3 or 4 hours and train. You may remember Peter from JB. We ordered 6 sets of ball, all identical. I played over 680, 73. We had 6 sets of ball. Chris and I would have 3 games every night. I mean, it could take an hour, it could take 3 hours, but we'd always play for something. I won't tell you what Chris's choice was, playing for something, but mine was, if I win, I haven't got to wash up tomorrow. So we'd always do that. So from the 1st of January, that was our rule. And we were fortunate enough in our house in Southampton that we had a nice big pétanque pitch. It was 15 metres by 4 or 5. We had floodlight in the garden, and we would train. We even had some people come round. Alan Reynard, you may recognise the name. He was a nice old boy. He used to come round, and Stuart Biggs, a youngster, he used to come round to give us a game. We even had a guy from Sweden. He was over and he heard about playing pétanque, and he actually came over one night. But interestingly enough, and I can't remember his name, Kev, he brought a chap with him who had played in the World Championships. And on my life, I've never seen a man or a player lob a ball as high as he did and come down and sit on the Kosh. So we had weeks and weeks playing with these two Swedish guys. But for us, training started on the 1st of January, and it was every night after work. And that's how it worked for us. Now, I may go to pétanque tomorrow, I may not. I don't really care. If it's too hot, we don't go.
That's beautiful because
Yeah.
there's so many people that I talk to where they say they want to improve their game, and my first question is, well, how often do you practice? And they say, well, I play on Tuesday nights in the club, and then I play
Not
in a
good enough.
competition, and but that's not
It's not
practice.
good enough, Kev. No, it's not
No.
good enough. You got to and after that, I mean, with the 6 sets of ball, we used to drop a ball at 6, at 7, at 8, 9, and we used to just shoot for about half an hour, just to if you want to do well in any sport, you need to train hard. And that's what we did. So yeah,
There's no
yeah.
excuse, and
No,
there's no bypassing the dedication
no. I don't like
necessary.
losing, Kev. I don't like losing.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose. So if I want to win, I've got to put the effort in.
Well,
Yeah.
this is the thing because it- nobody starts off brilliant. No one's born with a
No,
ball in their hands, and everyone has had to train. Rocher, Lacroix,
exactly.
Hachidorian, they all are putting
Dedicated.
the time in and dedicated. So it's an interesting one because you played obviously before the segregation when it was
Yes.
male and female could mix. And you had this situation in the worlds. Did you ever experience people where they maybe looked down on you and said, "Oh, it's just a woman," and you thought, "I'll
Well,
show you."
I do remember, just going back to the segregation bit, Kel, I do remember one year when I qualified for the women and the men, and I had to make a decision. I had to make a choice.
Ah,
It was to play at Kenilworth, funny enough, for the North Sea. I'd qualified with Lisa and Diz, and I also qualified with Chris and Bradshaw. And there, I'm not going to say names, I don't want to do that, but there were certain men who thought, why should Ness have two bites of the cherry? And I thought to myself, do you know what? I can't help my sex. I can't help that I'm female. I'm sorry that I'm a good player, but yes, I do have two bites of the cherry because the system allows me to do that. It wasn't my fault, it was the system. So that year, I took the decision, and it was the right decision because I felt we had strength in the women's game that I played with Lisa and Diz at Kenilworth, and Chris and Bradshaw took Ben Trend with them. They chose play with them. That year at Kenilworth, we won 12 out of 30, was it 12 out of 13 or 11 out of 12 games, whichever. We only dropped the one game. We were the best British team within the squad. We were the best team overall of the North Sea teams. We shone through. So really, that was the best decision. I knew that the women could compete, but I knew with the men they could do all right with Ben, and they did do all right. But no, there were certain men, and as I say, I'm not going to say any names, who thought, why should Ness have two bites? And that is when really I lost a little bit of interest in pétanque because I loved playing with the men. The game was different. It was faster. It was more exciting. It was tactic wise. I don't know, but my boys, Chris and Bradshaw, had the ability to say, just shoot that ball, Nest, and I'd shoot it. With the women, it's think, what do we do? What are we doing? And it just wasn't the same feeling. And if I suddenly put my input into tactics, well, it's all going to go pear shaped because I don't do tactics. I'm just told what to do. So when that segregation thing, ended, well, that was it. Then I just had to walk away. As I say, I really enjoyed my pétanque.
so
Yeah.
you mentioned stepping away and a little bit of disillusionment. Has there been any other setbacks or challenges in like injuries or anything that has forced you to step away? How have you dealt with
Not
them?
step. Well, I haven't had any injuries back in the UK, but here in France, I've got trigger thumb. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
Trigger thumb. And I'm right-handed, and it's in my right thumb. My right thumb locks, especially in cold weather. It just locks, and I have to snap it back into place. And of course, it's on my right hand, which is a real nuisance. I'm trying to play baton, so I'm actually just waiting for a cortisone injection here in France to try and get the inflammation down in my thumb. So that's the only nuisance, if you like. There were a couple of matches where I pulled myself out because my thumb was giving me jip. I just hope it's not an ongoing thing, but it should have happened in my left hand. I'd have been fine. It's the pleasure of getting old, Kev.
This is I'll give you a little tip. Stephen Bartlett, I don't know if you know him, is he's got Diary of a CEO on YouTube in podcast. He interviewed a um, basically a herbalist who was talking pretty much about exactly this thing that you're
Right.
experiencing and people with arthritis. And
Yeah.
he talking about ginger and garlic and curcumin and all
Okay.
these things to help with this. Just check it out. It's one of the most recent episodes. I'm sure
Yes.
you'll enjoy it. So
Okay, I'll look into that.
yeah, it's obviously you've played with some of the greatest players. You know, you've mentored people as such in terms of being what advice would you give to new players? What advice would you give to female players in the UK now having the experience of the UK and France?
Um, Firstly, the first thing for pétanque for me is to enjoy the game. Secondly is dedication and passion. You've got to be passionate about the game. And training, really. If you want to do well in the sport, any sport, then you need to put the time and effort in, Kev. It's as simple as that. If you just want to do it for fun and have a few glasses of wine, that's great too. Do that. But if you really want to progress in the game, you've got to put the hours in. It's just one of those things. But firstly, to enjoy the game and perhaps maybe to understand the tactics, which I lacked in.
Well, I'm sure up here you've got definitely a chess mind. I know you do.
Well, I've got a good idea what I'm supposed to be doing, Kev. Yeah, but it's always nice if someone just say, "Oh, just do that," and I'm happy. I haven't got to think. Haven't got to think.
Exactly. Turn on machine Ness. Machine Ness just shoots. So
Oh dear.
we've mentioned a couple of big ends and a couple of big games, but what's your proudest moment and your most memorable shot that you can recall just like that, as if we were there?
Probably the one that we talked about with Bradshaw was shooting the Kosh. For me, that will always stick with me because that was a bit of a downer. Um, the World Championships playing against Austria, that always sticks with me, but also the in 2006 in Grenoble playing against Angelique Collimbert in the Tir de Precision. When I got the bronze medal. I mean, that was something else. Chris was managing our team at the time. Incidentally, I played with Angie and Catherine and Diz in that World Championship, and we actually came fifth overall. So although my shooting, getting the bronze medal was great, the actual team came fifth. And for us as an English women's team to come fifth in the World Championships, I thought that was an achievement in itself. Um, but no, that's my proudest moments, really. The Austrian bloke who made me famous, and I'm really grateful to him for that. And my shooting episode. So yeah, yeah,
It's interesting. I was chatting with Jamie Lewis today, earlier on for an interview that I'll be uploading, and Catherine is living in France as
yeah,
well,
she is
and
too.
yeah,
Yeah,
and having a great time there, and yeah, look, it's a couple of other sort of little things because I'm very appreciative of your time. I know you've got lots of things that you're doing with your dogs and your chickens and
yeah.
and your renovations. So, but what life lessons has Pétanque taught you?
Um, Perhaps to be kind to people. That's really important. As I'm going back to my saying, be gracious in defeat as you are in glory. Just be kind to people. Um, enjoy your time that you enjoy your time that you spend playing pétanque. And just have fun with. That's all I can think of at the moment.
That's perfectly all right. And
Yeah, yeah.
in terms of this is an interesting one for a lot of people. The balance between personal life, work life. Obviously, you don't have work life now, but you've got
No.
dogs and chickens and Chris
Yeah, yeah.
and fixing. How do you balance, or how have you balanced that in the past to make sure everyone is happy?
I mean, people said to me, "Oh," to say, well, I'm very selfish. Actually, I've got a very. This is back in the UK. I've got a very good life. I work hard. Hard. Back in my time, we didn't have children, Kevin. We didn't have time for anything like that. We loved our sport. So, as I say, we worked hard and we just played hard, and that's why we're no kids.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
So your favorite brand and model of ball and why? Is it cutting
It
out a little
stopped.
bit? It's
It
cutting
is,
out a
yeah.
little bit. Yeah, yeah. So I said the favorite brand and model of ball and why?
Well, I was playing with JB, but what am I playing with now? I did get myself a new set of ball, still at 680 73. Do you know what, Kevin? Unless I went and got my ball, I couldn't even tell you what they were.
So it
Um,
doesn't really matter.
no, still nothing's changed with my ball, so yeah.
It's a great answer because so many people get really tell me the secret ball. It will
Oh
make me a
no,
great player.
I haven't got an expensive set. I think it might have cost me 100 quid. That's about it.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
So between you and me,
yeah.
secret tip just that you could give. But you've given obviously enjoy, but is there something that you have that you haven't really discussed with anyone else that just share it with me, not anyone
When
else.
I play pétanque, for our club, for example, I do. This is what goes through my head. I'm not a negative person at all. I'm very, very positive, as I said before. But what goes through my head when I enter that circle, I think to myself, I hope you lot are watching because you're going to miss this fabulous shot. That's my mindset, Kev. I don't go in there thinking, do you know what? I might hit this, I might miss this. So for me, my secret is prepare yourself, think you're going to hit that ball. As I'm a shooter, that's what I always think anyway. But I always think to myself, I hope you lot are watching because you're going to miss this carrow. And that for me just keeps me going, really.
Keeps you
Yeah.
going because you've been playing
For so long. Yeah.
many years and at the
Yeah.
highest level, and it's remarkable. So, couple of final questions, and we'll wrap up. Dream team, UK and international, and why?
God. I try to follow the UK pétanque team, what's going on in the UK. But to be fair, there's a lot of youngsters there, Kev, that I don't even recognise that are coming through, which is fabulous, really. But I don't recognise these youngsters, so I can't really comment on that. The dream team for me here in France, well, I am surprised they've just announced the ladies' team for the World Championships, the French ladies' team, and Cindy Peyra isn't one of them.
No, she's
Now,
not.
and I said to my dear friend here, because she's in the know, I said, why hasn't she been selected? And I think between everything, I think her face just doesn't fit. Nobody likes her. Now, why don't they like her? She's a machine. We should have her on the team. But that did surprise me. So for the dream team for me, it would be her is up front shooting. You've got a couple of good pointers. Um, I don't know. Chris rates Charlotte Darrods. She's a very good middle player. Maybe she is, but because she plays middle, I don't see like I see with Cindy. She's shooting ball after ball after ball. Okay, Charlotte's got to point. She has to shoot. She does a good job, I admit. But men's team for me has got to be Dylan Roche, Rizzy as well. He's got to be up there. We've been watching Kevin Phillipson. Have you seen him
Yeah,
play lately?
yeah.
Unbelievable. We've been watching YouTube today. He's got such a natural lobbing ball. He just goes in that circle, lobs his ball. There's none of this twisting your hand or anything show offy. It's just so natural. I just cannot believe that the top players, Roche, Rizzo, haven't asked him to play with them. I can't believe it because he's such a good player, Kev.
There's a lot of politics
I'm
that goes on
sure.
behind the scenes with Cindy and others, and sometimes your face
Yeah,
doesn't fit.
fit. Yeah,
Hatchadorian went to play recently, back I think,
right.
yeah, just another.
Unbelievable.
It's an interesting one. Keep an eye on Kimberly Bush, who plays
Okay.
in Vauvelin.
Okay.
Young female, the big female youngster.
It's coming
She's a
through.
fabulous player.
Okay.
She'll
Okay.
be
Yeah, I
on
will.
everyone's radar soon. I was very
Okay.
lucky to meet her earlier and take lots of videos of her playing and
Yeah.
witness her progression. She's amazing. So
Okay.
So, listen,
Thank you,
you have
Kev.
been phenomenal as
Oh, it
always.
was fun. But please send me a preview before you put this out, won't you, Kev? Because I'm sure I've stuttered somewhere along the line.
You were impeccable. You were absolutely delightful, and it's so good to catch up and to see you again after so many years. And
Well, you're always welcome, Kev. If you're ever down this neck of the woods, my darling, you get in contact. Okay, sweetie. We can
I'll be
take you to
there.
our club, and I'm sure you'd enjoy it just as much as we do, my sweet.
Yeah, I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, you
That's
must.
brilliant.
You must do that. Yeah, please don't hesitate. If you're down this way, you give me a shout. All right, my sweet.
Catch you soon. Say goodbye to
Okay, then,
everyone.
Kev. Yeah. Bye,
Cheers.
darling. Bye, love. Bye.
That was brilliant. So
Thanks,
yeah,
Kev.
I've stopped the recording now, so we can just
Okay.
we can
Yeah.
just I'll just double check that I've stopped the